Blessings and peace and honor to everybody that's here and welcome into my video, into this channel. I previously recorded a video talking about heaven and the temporariness of heaven. And now I want to give a precursor before I drop that why this topic even came up. I came up with this topic because people are weak. And I know that's like, whoa, why would you come out the gate just saying that? I want to grab attention, and also I want to steer towards the right way to form a proper question in people's mind to help them elevate in knowledge. And when you elevate in knowledge, you gain a sense of wisdom, all right? And you have to be able to be comfortable with the things that you know, not just going off of belief, and it's a different, people have blind faith. They have blind faith in things that they don't know of. And these people that run music, that run structures of houses, that run countries, they know of this. They have scientists studying this, and as long as they try to put that narrative in the public, saying as if some things can't be traced, the spirit can't be traced by certain technologies. Scientists have already been doing these things, and that's the importance that people miss out on by not knowing thyself. And people try to perceive what God's will is based on old prophets saying. But yeah, I want to get into the weakness of man. The weakness of man and how it's been preyed upon in just society structure. The first thing is the work life. When you got a sense of work, you got a start date, you got a start time, and you got an end time. You start work at what it may be 9, 10, 11, 12 a.m. Some people 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3. Whenever you start work, you have an end time, all right? And then when you end, you go home, you sleep, you get up and do it again. It's a comfortability in that because you know what tomorrow is going to have. Hypothetically, you know what tomorrow has in store for you because you go to work has you for the hours, and then you leave. And then once you leave, you go home, you do XYZ, and then you come back and do it. I don't want to move too quick. But so first step right there, the work structure that's been put over man, and it's a necessity. So I'm not trying to say that the work life is not needed, but it's something that's used to control the narrative in a sense of when it comes to departure from life. All right, you go through life, you work. Now you reach that stage of once life ended, you transition to heaven or you go into hell. And now most people, when they speak on going into heaven, the chariots, the horns, the trumpets, the instruments, the singing, the praises. You don't do that in this world. So what makes you think that you would do it in another world? So that's the first thing I want to propose. And now we want to talk about the broaderness of knowing what is and not just walking blindly. And we have scripture. We have many different religions that talk about the realms of heaven. many different scriptures, religions that talk about archangels, that talk about sound, shapes. We have a book in the Bible called the Book of Numbers. We got, the way they describe heavens and the different shapes and the stars, and all this has been put before man, but man has put a stop to a lot of it because they're lazy to be able to go out and understand. I speak on this because that was me when I first got into what I got into. I was lazy to just read the text I was reading, and I read the text and I knew the text. I became familiar with the text. I was discomforted by the text. I was all this with the text, and then I got comfortable with the text, and I got so comfortable I decided to study more within the text and then apply text to other matters. And once I done that, I was able to, my mind just started to peel back layers, and it was like, look, see, you've been you've been eating the same food your whole life, but you haven't elevated the way that you're processing the food. People are still eating applesauce. They haven't even transitioned to eating an apple yet, but they perceive that once they pass, that they will be in heaven, and then the work ends. And that's where I wanted to be at, where when I talked about the work and how, they perceive once they get to heaven, the work ends. But in Revelations, it states that there will be a new heaven and a new earth. So that means they'll be going through a transition period. All right. If you're not familiar with transitions, or getting yourself familiar with transitions, and getting yourself familiar with the way God moves, and if you're not getting yourself familiar with the way that God doesn't interfere with man's behavior. And I say this for people to understand that that's why they have angels, archangels, why they have what people consider evil angels, demons, Satans. They have all these jinns. We have all these layers of man. We have angels that guard how the sun rotates. We got angels that guard how the wind blows. We have God given this. The Most High God has given this, and it's remarkable that people still don't see it. When God given us free will, when we were given free will, that means we have to live with our choices. God given us that ability to live with our choices and to overcome and to, balance certain things out, to move, to transition. People aren't able to do that. People are so stuck. And that's why I say the system, this system, people are like, what system are you talking about? This system. Everything that's played right now, the people that use sacred geometry, people that use certain plays, certain knowledge against man, that's ultimately what witchcraft is. People that use knowledge to overcome people, and that's what's been put over man our whole life. And I say this in the simple fact, homelessness did not become a thing until kingdoms became established. And when kingdoms became established, people came to live within kingdoms. And, either you fit in with the customs of the money, the food, this and that. If you didn't fit in, you were an outcast. And then the outcasts, if they weren't able to stay afloat, they were essentially homeless, and they either lived in a house with so many different people, the living conditions weren't right. But if you go into the nature of things, they use wood to build houses. I don't know how to do this stuff, but I'm just giving truth. I'm just giving truth at the end of the day. They use wood to build houses. You go to forests, you see, I've witnessed people build homes, not big homes, but homes big enough to sleep in and to move around in, based with sticks and trees. So homelessness is something that was based in this system. And, people look at all the less fortunate, but the less fortunate to who? Because they're not less fortunate to the Most High, but they're only less fortunate to man. So the same man that perceives that somebody is less fortunate is the same man that perceives that they're about to just go in heaven and sit there, and life is just about to be singing and praises. You don't do that now. I do it. It's other people in this world that do it, but the mass majority of people that talk about this, they don't make a joyful noise for anything. They make the joyful noise for death. Money. People go before spirits, binding up contracts based on money. Money is death. It pinned to a system that's bound to end. So think about that. People go to, they may evoke certain entities, spirits. Little do they know, people don't know. They don't know what they do. That's why you need to watch your mind and watch what you say. But people not ready for that responsibility. So for the most part, I'm making this as a precursor to everything that comes after this. All right? Be prepared. Stop thinking you know what you know you don't know. If you knew, this game wouldn't be ran over us the way it is. It's ran over us in the fact that we can't think on our own. We have media that runs constantly through our mind. We don't have free thought. Our will is gone. Our thoughts are not free anymore. Then the people that perceive that they are free, they spit forth this religious text. But if you do the history on your religion, you will realize that they all simultaneously connect in some way. Why is that? Why does every culture perceive God to be different? Why isn't people, I'm not even saying that right, but why aren't people ready? After all this time, you're not ready. But you can get ready. You have time. Stop slacking off with knowledge. Gain it. See. They using this against you right now. I want people to be free. I'm freer than I ever been. I'm not bounded to this. Let's talk about us Christians. All right, I don't perceive myself to be such, but I perceive myself to be a student of Christ, most certainly. But Christian, I am not. But let's talk about the name Jehovah. All right, and what it stands in place of, and when, all right, I'm gonna talk right there. All right, Jehovah was used in place for what people say Yahweh, what Jewish people would say, Jewish mysticism, they would say Yahweh. And then you would say, okay, Yahweh, where did that come from? Or what is that stand for. Then you look up, then you'll run into the realm of the tetragrammaton. And then you'll look up Yod, He, Y. And then after you see that, you will understand that. Then you run into the tree of life. Then you, the Sephiroths. And then you'll start running to the different transitions and different realms. But this is not publicly talked about, but it's publicly placed above you. So where now you can't fully transition. And then now, you know, people will say Christ was a Jewish, he was from the Jewish culture. All right. And then you look up what Jesus' language he spoke, and it was Aramic. Then you look up, okay, how did the Aramics say God's name? And I want people to look that up. I want you to look that up. I'm not going to say it. How did Aramic people say God's name? And me making these videos is going to require some studying on your behalf. I'm studying every day. And actually, I'll show you my current reads right now. So these just a couple. One of them I have not started yet. I have not started one of them yet. But this one, I did not start this one yet. I got this from the Goodwill. Whoa, people only go to Goodwill for clothing. I got clothing and I got books. Yeah, I got a lot of books. And books do not give you wisdom, all right? Wisdom was in the beginning. So books give you knowledge. It's up to you to get wisdom, all right? That's another pointer, is you get knowledge, but you get knowledge, but it's up to you to obtain wisdom, all right? So right here, the Falun Gong, this is like a, look it up. This one, again, I got the books of the Ethiopian Bible, missing from the Protestant canon. All right, then I got this one. I got this one, yeah. Bam, bam, bam. So I think I may just kind of end it here. Sorry if I offended anyone. I'm actually not sorry, but I hope to encourage everybody to seek God in his truth, in his fullness, and stop being toyed with. Media is gonna keep telling you, take control of your health. Take control of your health, man. That's one of the most vital things we take for granted. And then people always say, you know, if God intended this to happen, it'll happen. You were giving free will, sir or ma'am. And it's up to you. It's some people, the ones that you will call less fortunate are the ones that are born with conditions. And, you know, and the conditions range, you know, some are very harsh, some are light. So to that individual, that's them gaining light of the spirit in their way and how they're supposed to. And it's not up to what people perceive as, you know, a Christian to necessarily tell them how to live, but it's up to letting the spirit show you how you're supposed to live. And that's what it is. Man always want to tell somebody else how they're supposed to live, but they don't take accountability for themselves and be with themselves and acknowledge themselves and acknowledge truth. So, you know, peace and love to everybody. And yeah, peace. And also, I'm gonna say this, I am human. So what that means, life, I'm a balance between what people perceive life is, and I'm a balance of what people perceive death to be. We all have a transitional period we must go through. So if you're not comfortable with what you need to be comfortable with and what you must be comfortable with, then don't try to tell people about what's going to happen in heaven, when those are the exact same people that's going to be waiting by the gate, perceiving that they're going to get somewhere, or matter of fact, going over the water with you. Them going to be the same people reincarnated and doing the same thing they did in the last life, probably even worse. But peace.